Hi y'all, Kraken Latte here. Welcome to the Shadowlands edition of Raw Gold Report, where we'll take a look at what gold we can get out of old raids and dungeons. Lockouts are as follows. Raids are weekly. Mythic dungeons are weekly. Heroic dungeons are daily. And normal dungeons are 10 times per hour. Mythic Plus are not included in this list. In addition to that, not all raids have the same set of rules, since those have changed wildly over the expansions. So, I'll explain that part when we get to each one in the data. These lockouts are important to know because this is what will limit how many times we can farm something between each weekly reset. Of course, these lockouts are character specific, so more alts means more runs. Another bit of info for you here is the character I'm using. I'm just using one this time instead of an array of classes to keep it simple and even. I'm level 60 and not super geared, but gear doesn't matter so much until we start reaching more recent expansions like Legion and Battle for Azeroth. My talents are on screen as well, in case you're curious. And lastly, as a reminder, this is raw gold. That means I am not selling items on the auction house. This is just the gold received directly from looting mobs and vendoring everything you receive. If you choose to sell your BOEs or other items you loot on the auction house, that is an entirely different metric and not reflected here. So that's enough of that. Let's get into the results. For this episode, we're focusing on Warlords of Draenor. First, let's start with the raids. As a note, all 4 difficulties of all 3 raids in this expansion can be done by the same character in the same week, so you don't have to choose between them. The totals here will reflect that. One more note, all the numbers you see here from gold to time are averages from 10 different attempts, so your results may vary slightly. Don't expect exact numbers. For our first raid, we have Highmaul. This is the ogre-themed raid found in Nagrand. Nothing super special to note about it, but it does have 4 different difficulties. If you do all 4 of them in the same week, you will get around 1,474 gold in 47 minutes. That comes out to about 31 gold per minute. For our second raid, we have Blackrock Foundry. This is the Iron Horde Factory themed raid found in Northern Gorgrund. It also has 4 different difficulties, LFR, Normal, Heroic, and Mythic, and if you do all of them on the same character in the same week, you'll get around 2,779 gold in 62 minutes. That comes out to 44 gold per minute. Nothing super special to note here, but if you do want to see how I speedrun it and get that time, I have a video on that, and even though that video is a little old now, I haven't changed my tactics. For our third and final raid for this expansion, we have Hellfire Citadel. This is the Fel-themed raid, and it also has 4 different difficulties: LFR, Normal, Heroic, and Mythic. If you do all 4 of those on the same character in 1 week, you'll expect about 3,041 gold in 96 long minutes, and that comes out to about 31 gold per minute. This raid is still long, and I don't care to try to shorten it. There's a lot of running around. Moving away from raids and into dungeons, it's important to know that every dungeon in Warlords of Draenor has 3 difficulties: Normal, Heroic, and Mythic. So remember to keep those lockouts I mentioned at the beginning in mind. First, we'll start with Skyreach. Found in the middle of Spires of Iraq, Skyreach will get you about 156 gold in 4 minutes if you do it on Normal once. Now remember, you can do Normal 10 times within an hour, and it might be prudent to do so in some cases. So if you do it 10 times, you'll get 1,560 gold in about 40 minutes, and that's 39 gold per minute. Heroic, the daily lockout, is 167 gold in 4, and then the Mythic, the weekly lockout, is 204 in 4 minutes. Our next dungeon, Auchindoun, found in the middle of Talador, gives about 152 gold in 6 minutes on normal difficulty once. If you decide to do that 10 times, that bumps up to 1,520 in 60. That comes out to about 25 gold per minute. If you do it on Heroic, that's 161 in 6, and Mythic is 195 in 6. And remember, these are averages. Bloodmaul Slagmines. This is a dungeon found in the northern part of Frostfire Ridge, and it has a cool Conan the Barbarian reference if you can find him, but I'll leave that secret up to you. If you choose to do it on normal, once, you'll get about 160 in 4 minutes. If you bump that up to 10 times, that evens out to 1600 in 40 minutes, which is an even 40 gold per minute. Heroic is about 178 in 4, and Mythic is about 225 in 4. Nice and quick. Grimrail Depot is another good dungeon found over in Gorgrond. This one is a cool one because it's a train, and I like trains. If you do this one on normal just once, it's about 138 gold in 3 minutes, so it's really short. If you bump that up to 10 times in the same hour, you'll get about 1380 in 30 minutes. That's 46 gold per minute. Actually pretty good compared to some of the other ones, at least in the GPM range. Heroic, you get about 127 in 3, and Mythic is about 147 in 3. Real quick. The Iron Docks is the other dungeon found in the northern part of Gorgrond, and it's boat-themed. Instead of trains, it's boats, except there's also a train, which makes it even better. So, if you decide to do this one once on normal, you'll get about 244 gold in 6 minutes. If you bump that up to 10 times within the same hour, that's 2440 in 60 minutes for 40 gold per minute. Still pretty good there on the numbers. If you decide to do it on Heroic, that's 266 in 6, and 235 for Mythic in 6. Not too bad for its results. Jumping down to Shadowmoon Valley, we have the Shadowmoon Burial Grounds dungeon. This is a spoopy, ghost, dead, and void-themed dungeon, so what's not to love, am I right? If you do this one once on normal, you'll get about 183 in 4 minutes, so it's actually shorter than you think it is. And if you do that up to 10 times in 1 hour, that's 1830 gold in 40 minutes, which comes out to a surprising 45 gold per minute. If you do that on Heroic, that's 166 in 4, and then Mythic is 153 in 4. Not too shabby. Yes, plant-themed. Plant people, plant animals, and even plant zombies. I'm sure there's a joke there somewhere. But if you decide to do this on normal, just once, you'll get about 108 gold in 6 minutes. If you jump that up to 10 times within the same hour, you'll get 1080 gold in 60 minutes at a pathetic 18 gold per minute. If you decide to do this on Heroic, that's about 113 in 6, and Mythic is about 135 in 6. For our final dungeon and last instance in all of Warlords of Draenor, we have the Upper Blackrock Spire. This is not actually on Draenor, but found all the way over in the Blackrock Mountain area with all the other Blackrock-themed stuff, with the exception of Blackrock Foundry. And it's actually a pretty good dungeon, so here's the results. Normal, if you do it just once, you'll get about 350 in 8 minutes. Jumping that up to 10 times in the same hour, or almost an hour, you'll get about 3,500 gold in 80 minutes. That comes out to 43 gold per minute. And if you do that on Heroic, that's 332 in 8, and Mythic is 334 in 8. Now, I do have a few notes for this dungeon for you. The first one being, if you want to get to this one fairly easily, use your dollar on Hearth and go to the Blackrock Pet Battle Dungeon if you have that unlocked. If you do not have that unlocked, I have a guide on that for you, but those pet portals are really nice. That's how I get there so quickly. And my other tip is, first of all, make sure you do all the trash in this dungeon, especially this one. Trash isn't always good in a dungeon, but in this one, you want it. You definitely want it. And I guess my third and final tip that I just remembered, this dungeon doesn't port you to the entrance if you kill yourself at the end. You do have to run back out, and that's where that last minute comes from. So if you can really move quick or bring yourself on the fastest class you can muster, my fastest time is actually just under 6 minutes. So that bumps up that GPM by a lot. But as a reminder, these are averages. So something to keep in mind. So that was every instance in Warlords of Draenor and all of its specific data. However, I have 2 more lists for you. We have the top 5 gold per minute and the top 5 total gold. So, let's look at those real quick. For the gold per minute list, our number 1 is Grimrail Normal times 10. That came into a nice 46 gold per minute. In this case, the higher the GPM is, the better, because that means you're getting more gold per minute. Our number 2 was Blackrock Foundry All, that includes all 4 difficulties, at 44 gold per minute. Our number 3 is Shadowmoon Burial Ground, surprisingly, at 45 gold per minute. That one only takes about 40 minutes to run, so not too shabby. Our number 4 for gold per minute is UBRS Normal times 10 at 43 gold per minute. Of course, that gold per minute will go up if you can reduce the time it takes you to run that. So in the case of UBRS, drop that to 60. That dungeon instantly blows everything else out of the water, so that's something to keep in mind. And then our number 5 for GPM is Iron Docks at 40 gold per minute. There is another 40 gold per minute, but Iron Docks was better, so this one made number 5. Now for the total gold list. This is ignoring the time it takes to run it, but rather looking at how much you're getting out of it. The top, by a surprising amount, is Upper Blackrock Spire, normal times 10. And like I said before, if you can get that 80 minutes down to 60 or less, you are in good business at 3,500-ish gold. And remember, these are averages. You'll always get a little more or a little less. Number 2 is Hellfire Citadel, the raid, all 4 difficulties combined, at 3,000-ish gold. So not too bad, but the time is horrendous, so that's something to keep in mind. Blackrock Foundry, all 4 difficulties, is our number 3 at 2,700-ish gold, so that's pretty good. Iron Docks, normal times 10, 2,400 gold, is our number 4. And then Shadowmoon Burial Grounds is our number 5 at about 1,800. So here's all that data for you, and the times, the totals, the GPM, so you can take your pick as to which one you want to farm. For me, I think I'm going to hone my skills on Upper Blackrock Spire because that 3,500 is pretty good. So before we close out completely, here's my thoughts on this entire expansion. It is everything give about 30 to 50% less than it used to, yes, but I think it's still good. Upper Blackrock Spire is still a gem, and the raids aren't too bad. If you decide to go in for Mog, you'll get a few thousand to boot. So if you have the patience and the time, I still think some of this is good to farm, you know. And remember, raw gold is instantaneous. When you go farm for it, you get it now. You don't have to go deal with auction house stuff. And speaking of auction house stuff, you're going to get sellable transmog that might be expensive. You're going to get auction house garrison parts. You're going to get materials, and coming in with a skinner can be a good thing because a lot of these orcs like to keep pets, which you can skin. So that's little extra gold you can make on the side on top of the raw gold. So I still think Warlords is a good expansion to farm in, but I will leave that up to you, of course. I'm just presenting the data. So that is all I have for you for this video, so I hope you found it helpful. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and remember, it's never too latte. This is the part where I ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. Doing at least one of those gets my videos recommended more. The higher these numbers are, the more YouTube likes me, and that helps me bring you more coffee-fueled content. I thank you so much for any support you choose to give.